I still remember the day I thought I had it all. A beautiful wife, 5 months pregnant with our first child, a recent promotion at my tech company, and a close-knit family that had always been my foundation. Diana and I were even putting the finishing touches on our first home together. I never imagined that within 48 hours a coworker's lies would cost me everything: my wife, my unborn child, my family, and my reputation. Before I tell you how my entire life collapsed in just 2 days, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever had someone you trusted stab you in the back. Trust me, you will want to see how this ends. At 28, I had what most would consider the American dream. I was a successful cybersecurity specialist at a growing tech company in Portland, Maine. After 3 years of marriage to Diana, we were finally expecting our first child. She was 5 months along and we had just started setting up the nursery in our new home. Those were happy days. Paint swatches on the walls, crib assembly instructions spread across the floor, and Diana's radiant smile as she felt our baby kick for the first time. My reputation at work and among friends was solid. I was known as the reliable one, the guy who would stay late to help a colleague with a complex security problem, or drive across town to help a friend move. My parents Gerald and Martha had always instilled those values in me and my younger brother Adam. We were a tight family unit, gathering every Sunday for dinner at my parents' colonial-style home just outside of town. I remember how proud my father looked when I announced Diana's pregnancy, the first grandchild, his legacy continuing. "You have done well, son," he told me, clapping my shoulder with his broad hand. "You have made this family proud." Those words meant everything to me then. Work had been going exceptionally well, too. After 5 years at North Star Technologies, I had recently been promoted to lead our cybersecurity division, overseeing a team of 12 specialists. The promotion came with a substantial raise, which helped with the down payment on our new house. Life seemed perfectly on track. The trouble began with Jackson Miller, a coworker who had started at North Star around the same time I did. Jackson had also been in the running for the promotion I received. When our director announced my advancement instead of his, I saw something flash in his eyes, a momentary glimpse of pure hatred before he masked it with congratulations. "Way to go, Irving," he said, shaking my hand with a grip slightly too tight. "You deserve it." His words said one thing, but his eyes communicated something entirely different. I should have paid more attention to that warning sign. In the weeks that followed, Jackson's resentment manifested in subtle ways. He would forget to include me on important emails, speak over me during meetings, or make small comments meant to undermine my authority. I did not think much of it at the time. Office politics were nothing new, and I was focused on proving myself worthy of the promotion. Then came the Amanda situation. Amanda Fletcher was a new addition to our team, a brilliant security analyst fresh out of MIT. She was struggling with a particularly complex firewall integration, and as her supervisor, I spent several late evenings helping her troubleshoot the issues. Our interactions were completely professional, but apparently Jackson took notice. "You two seem to be getting along well," he commented one evening as I was packing up to leave after helping Amanda. There was something in his tone that made me uncomfortable. "Just doing my job," I replied neutrally. Jackson leaned against my desk. "Your pregnant wife does not mind all these late nights. Diana understands my work responsibilities," I said firmly, closing my laptop with more force than necessary, "and I would appreciate you not implying anything inappropriate." He raised his hands defensively. "Just looking out for you, man. People talk, you know." That was the first red flag, but I dismissed it. In retrospect, that was my first mistake. A few days later, I noticed Diana acting strangely. She became distant, frequently checking my phone when she thought I was not looking. At family dinner that Sunday, I caught her in whispered conversation with Adam, both of them falling silent when I approached. "Is everything okay?" I asked as we drove home. Diana stared out the window. "Someone from your work contacted me. They were concerned." My stomach dropped. "Concerned about what they said? I should ask you about Amanda." I explained the situation fully. About Amanda's project difficulties, my role as her supervisor, the completely professional nature of our interactions. Diana seemed to accept my explanation, but something had changed. A seed of doubt had been planted. The following week, I was focused on finalizing details for our upcoming baby shower. Diana's parents and mine had come together to plan an elaborate celebration. I was preoccupied with picking up the custom cake Diana had ordered from her favorite bakery across town. When I returned home, Diana was sitting on our couch, her face pale, her phone clutched in her hand. "What is going on, Irving?" she demanded, turning the screen toward me. There were text messages from an unknown number, claiming to have evidence of my affair with Amanda. My blood ran cold. "This is absolute nonsense," I said. "Someone is trying to cause problems." I immediately suspected Jackson. The next day at work, I confronted him by the coffee machine. "Did you contact my wife with some ridiculous accusations?" I kept my voice low, but several colleagues glanced our way. Jackson's face was a mask of innocent concern. "I have no idea what you are talking about, Irving. Is everything okay at home?" The smug undertone in his voice told me everything I needed to know. But without proof, there was little I could do. When I returned to my desk, I had an email from HR requesting a meeting the following morning. That evening, when I got home, Diana was gone. She had left a note saying she was staying with her parents to think things through. My calls went straight to voicemail. When I tried calling my parents for advice, my father was unusually curt. "We need some time, Irving," he said before hanging up. I stood in our half-finished nursery surrounded by baby clothes and unopened gifts, feeling my perfect life beginning to unravel. The next morning, I discovered just how elaborate Jackson's scheme had been. An anonymous email had been sent to HR Diana, and apparently my entire family containing fabricated evidence of an affair with Amanda. There were doctored photos showing us in what appeared to be intimate situations, skillfully edited from innocent workplace interactions. There were falsified email exchanges filled with inappropriate language that I had never written. The level of detail was staggering. Jackson must have spent weeks preparing this smear campaign, carefully laying groundwork to make the lies believable. What was most disturbing was how these revelations were structured to play on insecurities I had not even known existed in my relationships. When I arrived for my HR meeting, the director's face was grim. "These are serious allegations, Irving. We are placing you on administrative leave pending investigation." I tried to explain about Jackson, about his resentment over my promotion, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. The evidence looked convincing, and in the corporate world, appearances often matter more than truth. Meanwhile, Diana had completely shut me out. My calls and texts went unanswered. When I drove to her parents' house, her father met me on the porch. "She does not want to see you," he said flatly, "and frankly, neither do we. How could you do this to her, especially while she is carrying your child?" "None of it is true," I insisted. "Please just let me talk to her. She will contact you when she is ready. Until then, stay away, or we will get a restraining order." 3 days later, I received a letter from Diana's lawyer requesting a divorce. The letter cited irreconcilable differences and infidelity as grounds, and demanded I vacate our home within 30 days. I learned that Diana had already filed to have her prenatal care transferred to another facility, effectively barring me from attending future appointments. When I checked our joint bank accounts, I found them nearly emptied. Diana had withdrawn most of our savings, leaving me with barely enough to cover the next mortgage payment. The speed and thoroughness with which she had acted suggested she had been planning this for days, perhaps longer. Desperate to clear my name, I drove to my parents' house on Saturday afternoon. I needed them to hear my side of the story, to understand that I was being set up. When I arrived, I was surprised to see several cars in the driveway. My uncle's SUV, my cousin's sedan, even my grandmother's old Buick. I rang the doorbell, and my mother answered, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "Irving," she said stiffly, "we were not expecting you." "Mom, I need to talk to you and Dad. This whole thing is a misunderstanding." "Come in," she interrupted. "Everyone is here." I stepped into the living room and froze. The entire extended family was assembled like some kind of intervention. My father stood by the fireplace, his face hard as stone. Adam sat on the couch, glaring at me with unexpected venom. Various aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the remaining seats, all wearing expressions ranging from disappointment to disgust. "What is this?" I asked. "We know everything, Irving," my father said. Diana shared the emails. "The pictures. How could you betray her like this? While she is pregnant with your child, Those are fake, I insisted. Jackson at work fabricated them because he resented my promotion. If you would just listen, we have seen the evidence Adam cut in standing up. The timestamp on the hotel security footage. The credit card receipts. You cannot lie your way out of this. Hotel footage. Credit card receipts. These were new fabrications I had not even seen. Jackson's plan was more elaborate than I had realized, and he had clearly found allies. None of that is real, I said, my voice rising in frustration. I have never cheated on Diana. I would never save it, Adam snapped, moving toward me. Diana told us everything. How you have been distant for months. How you started staying late at work. How you changed your phone password. I changed my password because my old one was too simple. Diana knew this. She had watched me do it. Adam, you know me better than I thought I did, he interrupted. We all did. My father stepped forward, looming over me as he had when I was a child caught misbehaving. You have disgraced this family. Your mother can barely show her face at church. Mrs. Thompson asked her how Diana was handling the situation. Dad, please, I begged. I am being framed. This coworker Jackson convenient to blame others for your mistakes, my father growled. Your grandfather would be ashamed. Something inside me snapped. If you would just listen for 5 minutes instead of assuming the worst of me. Adam shoved me hard, catching me off guard. I stumbled backward. You do not get to talk to him like that. Not after what you have done. I regained my balance. Do not touch me. I came here hoping my family might actually support me, but clearly Adam shoved me again harder this time. I fell against the coffee table, knocking over my mother's prized crystal vase. It shattered on the hardwood floor. See what you have done now, my father roared, grabbing my collar. First, your marriage. Now this. What happened next was a blur. My father's fist connected with my jaw. Adam joined in landing a punch to my stomach that knocked the wind out of me. No one moved to stop them. My mother turned away. My uncle watched impassively. Even my grandmother, who had always doted on me, sat with her hands folded in her lap, as if this violence was justified. Bloodied and disoriented, I found myself being dragged to the front door and literally thrown onto the porch. My father stood in the doorway, breathing heavily. You are dead to this family, he declared. Do not come back. The door slammed shut. Through the window I could see neighbors watching from across the street, witnesses to my humiliation. With blood trickling from my split lip, I made my way to my car. My phone lit up with a text from Adam. Do not try to contact any of us again. Ever. In the space of a week, I had lost my job, my wife, my unborn child, and now my entire family. I drove back to our house, soon to be just Diana's, and sat in the driveway for a long time, staring at the nursery window. Inside, I wandered through rooms filled with evidence of the life we had planned together. Baby books stacked on the coffee table. The sonogram picture on the refrigerator. Diana's prenatal vitamins on the kitchen counter. I tried calling her one more time, but it went straight to voicemail. The next morning, I was served with divorce papers demanding I vacate the house within 24 hours. Diana was requesting full custody of our unborn child, with no visitation rights for me. The papers cited moral turpitude and emotional distress during pregnancy as justification. With nowhere else to go, I checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. Lying on the lumpy mattress, staring at water stains on the ceiling, I felt something inside me break. Everything I had worked for, everyone I had loved, all gone because of a vindictive lie. The next few weeks passed in a haze of depression. I barely ate, hardly slept, and started drinking more heavily than I ever had before. The cheap motel became my home, its peeling wallpaper and flickering lights, a fitting backdrop to my unraveling life. A formal termination letter arrived from North Star Technologies, citing violation of the company's moral clause. My final paycheck was smaller than expected due to administrative fees. With no income and rapidly dwindling savings, I could not even afford a decent lawyer to fight the divorce proceedings. The divorce was finalized with unprecedented speed. Diana's father had connections with a judge who expedited the process. I lost the house, most of our shared assets, and was ordered to pay alimony despite being unemployed. Child support would be determined after the birth. In my darkest moments, I contemplated ending it all. The weight of injustice was crushing, and the complete absence of anyone who believed me made the world feel unbearably hostile. 3 months after being thrown out of my parents' house, I received an anonymous text with a photo of a newborn baby. My child. There was no message, just the image. When I called the hospital, they refused to give me any information. Later, I obtained a copy of the birth certificate through a former colleague who took pity on me. The father was listed as unknown. That evening, I hit my lowest point. Drunk and desperate to see my child, I drove to Diana's parents' house, only to find it dark and empty. A neighbor informed me they had all gone out to dinner to celebrate the baby. In a moment of self-destructive impulse, I went to the restaurant the neighbor mentioned. Through the window, I saw them. My parents, Diana's family, Adam, with his arm around Diana and a small bundle in my mother's arms. They were smiling, toasting, celebrating as if I had never existed. I was about to leave when I saw something that stopped me cold. Adam leaned over and kissed Diana. Not a brotherly kiss on the cheek, but a passionate kiss on the lips. The kind shared between lovers. The realization hit me like a physical blow. My own brother and my wife. How long had it been going on? Was this why they had so readily believed the worst about me? I stumbled back to my car and drove aimlessly through the night, eventually parking at a scenic overlook. There, overlooking the city where my life had imploded, I screamed until my voice gave out. Then I sat in silence watching the sunrise with empty eyes. 2 weeks later, I discovered through social media that Diana and Adam were officially together. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot of Adam's post, announcing their relationship carefully, worded to make it seem recent and appropriate. Sometimes life brings unexpected blessings through difficult times. The comments were supportive, with many friends and family members expressing how perfect they were together. My mother had commented, "So happy you two found each other. Baby Emily is lucky to have you both." Emily. My daughter's name was Emily, and I had not even known. Digging deeper into social media archives, I found hints that Adam had been interested in Diana for years. Comments on her photos dating back to before our wedding, inside jokes I had not been part of. Had he been waiting for an opportunity all along? Had he helped Jackson somehow? The thought was too painful to bear. The final blow came when I was hospitalized after collapsing in the motel parking lot, exhaustion, malnutrition, and alcohol poisoning. I had no emergency contact, no health insurance after losing my job, and no visitors. The hospital social worker looked at me with pity, assuming I was just another case of self-destruction. It was in that sterile hospital room connected to IV fluids and watched by occasional nursing staff that I hit absolute rock bottom. I had nothing and no one. My identity had been stripped away, my future erased. On the second day of my hospital stay, a counselor named Melissa came to speak with me. Unlike everyone else I had encountered in recent months, she did not start with assumptions. "Tell me what brought you here," she said simply. So I did. I told her everything from the promotion to Jackson's resentment, from the fabricated evidence to my family's betrayal. I described the physical assault, the complete isolation, the discovery of Diana and Adam together. I spoke for nearly 2 hours, my voice hoarse, occasionally breaking into sobs. When I finished, I expected the same dismissal I had received from everyone else. Instead, Melissa looked me directly in the eyes and said something no one else had bothered to say: "I believe you, Irving." Those 3 words were like oxygen to someone drowning. For the first time in months, I felt a tiny spark of hope. Melissa helped me document the timeline of events, pointing out inconsistencies in the narrative that had been built against me. She connected me with resources for men dealing with false accusations and helped me apply for emergency assistance to cover my medical bills. "This pattern of events does not make sense if you were actually guilty," she observed. The speed of execution, the coordination between multiple parties, the convenient relationship between your brother and ex-wife. It suggests premeditation. With Melissa's encouragement, I started fighting back. First, I focused on getting physically healthy again. I stopped drinking, started eating properly, and began exercising in the small motel room. My mind gradually cleared, and with clarity came determination. I reached out to Amanda, the coworker I had allegedly had an affair with. She had left North Star shortly after my termination, and it took some detective work to find her. When I finally did, she agreed to meet at a coffee shop in a neighboring town. "I have been wanting to contact you," she said, looking nervously around the cafe. But I was warned not to. Warned by whom? Jackson initially. Then, HR. She pulled out her phone and showed me an email. They implied I could face legal consequences if I spoke about the situation. Amanda revealed that Jackson had attempted similar schemes with other colleagues in the past, spreading rumors, creating workplace tension, isolating targets who threatened his advancement. She had documentation of her own interactions with him, including veiled threats, when she questioned the narrative about me. "I never believed you and I had any inappropriate relationship," she assured me. But I was afraid for my own career. With Amanda's evidence in hand, I felt emboldened to dig deeper. I created a detailed spreadsheet tracking every false claim, every manipulated piece of evidence, every suspicious timing coincidence. A pattern emerged that pointed to not just Jackson, but potentially others involved in the setup. My next unexpected ally came in the form of Sophia, Diana's younger sister. She contacted me through a dummy social media account requesting to meet privately. "I never believed you cheated," she told me, when we met at a park 2 towns over. Diana and I were always close, but something about this whole situation felt wrong from the start. Sophia revealed something crucial. Adam had been making subtle advances toward Diana for months before the accusations surfaced. She had noticed his behavior during family gatherings, but had dismissed it until things escalated after my exile. He would say things like, "Irving does not appreciate what he has," or, "If you were my wife, I would never work late," Sophia explained. It seemed harmless then, but looking back. Most importantly, Sophia confirmed that Adam had been in contact with someone from my workplace weeks before the accusations became public. She had overheard a phone call where Adam mentioned getting evidence and making sure it looks convincing. "I think he saw an opportunity and took it," she said quietly. "I am sorry, Irving. I should have said something sooner." With Melissa's guidance, Amanda's documentation, and Sophia's insider information, I hired a lawyer who specialized in defamation cases. Thomas Carter was not the most prestigious attorney in the state, but he had a reputation for taking on challenging cases that other lawyers avoided. "This will not be easy," he warned me during our first meeting. "We are essentially claiming conspiracy and fraud against multiple parties, including a well-respected company. But if what you are telling me is true, we have a fighting chance." I sold my car to pay his retainer fee. It was the last significant asset I had, but I was beyond caring about material possessions. All that mattered was reclaiming my truth. With Thomas's legal expertise, we assembled a comprehensive case. He subpoenaed the company's servers, where a digital forensics expert discovered traces of the original photos before they were doctored. We obtained cell phone records showing communications between Jackson and Adam that predated the accusations. We gathered testimonials from other former employees who had experienced Jackson's manipulative behavior. Slowly but surely, we built a case that could not be ignored. I no longer cared about reconciliation with my family or rebuilding my old life. I just wanted the truth to be known. "I will not let them destroy who I am," I told Melissa during one of our weekly counseling sessions. "Even if no one ever apologizes, even if nothing changes in their minds, I know my truth, and I will fight for it." 16 years have passed since that pivotal moment in the hospital when I decided to fight back instead of giving up. The legal battle against Jackson and North Star Technologies took nearly 2 years, but eventually we prevailed. The courts ruled in my favor, finding substantial evidence of malicious intent and falsification of documents. Jackson was fired and faced criminal charges for fraud and harassment. The company issued a public apology and offered a substantial financial settlement. The vindication was bittersweet. Despite the court ruling and public exposure of the truth, my family refused to acknowledge their mistake. My parents maintained that they had acted appropriately based on the information they had at the time. They never apologized for the physical assault or for discarding me so easily. Adam predictably denied any involvement in the scheme, portraying himself as an innocent party who had simply been there for Diana in her time of need. Diana and Adam's relationship did not last long. 2 years after they got together, Adam moved out and filed for divorce. Sophia kept me informed of major family developments, though I maintained my distance. According to her, the relationship had been built on mutual grievance, rather than genuine love, and once that foundation crumbled, they had little to sustain them. The most painful aspect of the entire ordeal remained my daughter Emily. Despite the court acknowledging the falsity of the accusations against me, Diana retained primary custody. I was granted limited visitation rights, but Diana moved across the country shortly after her split from Adam, making regular contact nearly impossible. I sent birthday cards, Christmas gifts, and support payments faithfully, but for many years, I was little more than a name to my own child. After the settlement, I used the funds to rebuild my life from scratch. I founded SecureShield, a cybersecurity firm specializing in protecting individuals and small businesses from digital harassment, identity theft, and online frame-ups. My personal experience had given me unique insight into how vulnerable people can be to digital manipulation, and I channeled that knowledge into creating protective systems. The company started small, just me working out of a rented office space with secondhand equipment, but I had a vision and the technical skills to execute it. Within 5 years, SecureShield had 20 employees and a solid reputation. Today, we are industry leaders, with offices in 4 states and clients worldwide. My personal healing took longer than my professional rebuilding. For years, I struggled with trust issues, insomnia, and occasional panic attacks. Melissa, who had become a dear friend, encouraged me to continue therapy and gradually expand my social circle. I joined a support group for divorced fathers, started volunteering at a community center, teaching computer skills to seniors, and slowly opened myself to new relationships. Through it all, Sophia remained a steadfast ally. Our friendship deepened over the years, evolving from confidant to best friend to something more. She visited me regularly, even when it meant keeping secrets from her family. She believed in me when no one else would, and that faith became the foundation for a profound connection. 7 years after the false accusations tore my life apart, Sophia and I acknowledged our feelings for each other. Our relationship progressed cautiously. Both of us carried emotional scars, and the family complications were significant. When we decided to marry 3 years later, it caused another rift in her family. "You are choosing him over your own sister," Diana reportedly demanded when Sophia announced our engagement. "I am choosing truth and love over lies and bitterness," Sophia replied. She never wavered despite pressure from her parents and extended family. We were married in a small ceremony, attended by my colleagues, friends from the support group, and a few of Sophia's friends who supported our relationship. The irony was not lost on me. I had lost Diana but found true partnership with her sister. Sophia and I built a life together, based on honesty, mutual respect, and the shared experience of standing against family pressure for what we believed was right. We now have twin boys, Nathan and Liam, who are 8 years old. In a twist I never expected, Emily reached out to me when she turned 16. Diana had always controlled the narrative about our split, portraying me as an unfaithful husband who abandoned his pregnant wife. But as Emily grew older, she began questioning the inconsistencies in the story. "My mom would get defensive whenever I asked about you," she told me, during our first phone call, and Grandma would change the subject. It made me suspicious. Emily had found news articles about the court case online and discovered the truth about the false accusations. She contacted me through social media asking to meet. Our first meeting was awkward but hopeful. I met a teenage girl with my eyes, and her mother's smile, intelligent and thoughtful, with questions about the past I had carefully prepared to answer. "Did you abandon me?" she asked directly, her voice smaller than it had been throughout our conversation. "Never," I told her, fighting back tears. "Not for a single day did I stop thinking about you or trying to be part of your life." I shared my side of the story without vilifying her mother, emphasizing that adults sometimes make mistakes based on false information. I showed her birthday cards I had sent, that she had never received photos of the nursery I had prepared for her arrival, the trust fund I had established in her name, despite my financial struggles in those early years. Emily was shocked by the extent of the deception she had been raised with. "My whole life has been built around a lie," she said, wiping away tears. "Not your whole life," I corrected gently. "You are your own person, Emily. Your experiences, your friendships, your achievements, those are all real. The only falsehood was the story about me. We have been building a relationship slowly since then. Emily visits during school breaks and has formed a tentative bond with Sophia and her half-brothers. Diana was furious when she discovered our contact, but could do little to prevent it given Emily's age. The family dynamics remain complicated, but for the first time in 16 years, I feel a sense of healing in relation to my firstborn child. My parents have made some hesitant overtures toward reconciliation in recent years, particularly after their health began declining. I maintain polite but distant contact, accepting that while forgiveness might be possible, forgetting never will be. The physical assault and immediate disownment revealed something fundamental about our relationship that cannot be undone. The journey from complete destruction to rebuilding has taught me lessons I could never have learned otherwise. I have learned that sometimes the family you choose brings more healing than the family you are born into. I have learned that vindication does not automatically restore what was lost, but it can provide the foundation for building something new. Most importantly, I have learned that holding on to your truth, even when everyone around you doubts it, is not stubbornness. It is survival. 16 years ago, I lost everything because of a vindictive lie. Today, I have a successful business, a loving wife, 3 beautiful children counting Emily, and a peace that comes from living authentically. The road was harder than I could have imagined, but it led me exactly where I needed to be. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after a betrayal? Let me know in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of overcoming seemingly impossible odds. Share this video with someone who might be going through their own dark time. Sometimes knowing others have survived can make all the difference. Thank you for listening. And remember, your darkest moments do not define your whole story.